Is your business protected against the threat of malicious litigation and frivolous lawsuits? Are you sinking company profits into marketing campaigns that do nothing to contribute to the growth of your business? Bottled Business Sense provides practical business perspectives that uniquely emphasize both legal and media marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. Now, whether you're trying to provide a startup business with some level of stability or an established business with foolproof asset and estate protection, or simply attempting to get a better return for your business marketing dollars, Bill Bernard and Rick Moscoso will expose potential pitfalls to ensure the security and growth of your business, free from unwanted expense and the threat of litigation. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection tools equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Let's join Bill and Rick for today's Bottled Business Sense show.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday here at 10 a.m. on the Bottled Business Sense show. I'm Rick Moscoso, one of your co-hosts for today's episode. We have Bill Bernard on the other side, our business law attorney extraordinaire, and wanted to welcome everyone to this episode. You know, our last episode we spoke about some asset protection strategies for your business to protect yourself from lawsuits. But today we're going to go in a little bit more specifically about six business boosting benefits to incorporating or emphasizing your company, which is an interesting word that we coined here on the show. Actually, Bill coined that on the show. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. But before we do that, welcome, Bill, to the episode. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be back with you. And it's interesting what you just said, Rick, because what we're going to do is this is going to be kind of a show that talks about only incorporation, not LLCs or other types of business entities, only incorporation. And interestingly enough, something we've never done before, to my knowledge, is we're going to emphasize a part of a corporate structure that we typically don't talk about very much, and that is a C corporation as opposed to an S corporation. So this will be a little bit unique, which I'm happy about, because I want to bring to the attention of some people, issues that typically we don't always talk about, and which might pertain to them, especially if their business begins to grow on a larger scale in some sense. So I think it'll be an interesting show, and I hope that people take some notes on this. Let me just start by saying, candidly, Rick, for many, many years, entrepreneurs or business people that I've worked with inquire about incorporation because it offers a number of advantages legally that are not offered when you have a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or even sometimes an LLC. I want to emphasize from the start that you should talk to your business attorney and tax accountant with regard to your own personal situation before you start a business structure. But in the meantime, let's explore some of the advantages of incorporating your business with an emphasis, as I stated, on potentially a C corporation. Well, what's the first thing that you get with any corporate structure? You get and when I say that, I mean when we compare a corporation to a partnership or a sole proprietorship, what we're looking for is a protection of the personal assets, right? So, for example, if you pay off your loan or someone sues your business under most circumstances, your personal assets such as your home, retirement account, car, etc., can't be taken as restitution. So we've talked about that a number of times. I don't want to belabor that point. People should have that pretty much ingrained in their mind by now. And if they don't, they should go back and probably watch one of our first few shows. But in addition to that, your business name is off limits to other companies. When you incorporate, your business name automatically becomes protected within the state that you register your business name in. If you want to have more universal protection, perhaps you'll want to apply for a trademark by way of the federal trademark website, which you can certainly do. But before you do any of that, state or federal or both, do a business search. I mean, right, Rick? We did a business search when we formed your company's name.
That's right.
Because we had to know that there weren't going to be any violations of any kind of law before we chose the name that you chose, which is Captivate 365 LLC. But in addition to all of that, you should see a tax accountant or a business attorney, a tax attorney or an accountant, a CPA, because corporations often allow for tax deductions that sole proprietorships and partnerships do not. A corporation will pay the applicable tax rate on taxable income, and its owners pay income tax only on their personal earnings. So you don't find yourself paying an exorbitant amount of self-employment taxes that you ordinarily would if you owned your own business, like with an LLC or an S corporation. The corporate structure pays taxes, but you only pay taxes on the income you receive. Only the owner's salaries are subject to self-employment taxes. So if you're in a corporate structure and you are one of the owners, you're going to be subject to self-employment taxes. So people argue both ways. Well, there's just double taxation. Well, there might be. But by the same token, if you're working in a corporation and you're pretty high up in the structure and you have the ability to make some decisions, you will only pay self-employment taxes on the income you make by way of the corporate profits. Okay, so you're not going to be taxed on your self-employment taxes the way you would in a different type of business entity. So as a sole proprietor or partnership, all taxable income from the businesses would flow to the owner's individual tax return, as I mentioned, and that may or may not be advantageous to you. But as we discuss this corporate structure called a C corporation, and as we reference the other corporate structure typically that people are interested in, which is an S corporation, we have that underlying thread that is always present. And that thread is what? The protection of your personal assets, right? But what is probably one of the biggest things that a C corporation provides you, Rick? You've talked about this in prior shows when we've talked about financing, right? So what does a C corporation allow you to do? It's going to allow you to what? Sell shares, right?
Right.
And when you sell shares of the corporation, what does that do?
Well, it gives you more leeway, more opportunity to grow your company.
That's right. It raises money, right? Right. So corporations sell stock, ownership shares, right? Mm-hmm. And that's generally done to raise money. So this can provide much needed capital for growing your business, as you just mentioned. And if you're a C corporation, you can sell an unlimited share of stock. If you're an S corporation in California, you're limited to only 100 shareholders. So you can still grow your business with an S corp, but you're more limited depending on how big you want to get. Now, often we've talked on these shows about small business owners. And so, a lot of times a C corp wasn't something that was on their mind. But I didn't want to neglect it. I wanted to point it out in this show and talk about it in conjunction with corporations in general, leaving LLCs out of the equation and just talking about corporations, because any corporation, whether it's a C or an S, can sell stock and raise money. And that's something that might be beneficial for somebody on a large or small scale. There's a taxation issue. It's a pass-through entity, so your self-employment taxes can be limited with a C corporation. And it also has, any corporate structure has what? The perk of what I call perpetual existence, Rick. And that means that it's always going to last even after your death or after you sell your ownership interest. If it develops a reputation, that's going to make the company profitable, not only while you own it, but while somebody else owns it, and that somebody else may be somebody that you want to pass it on to. So it has that unique ability to perpetuate itself, if you will, but it also has another big perk. And that big perk would be what? Increased credibility. If you're a corporation and you have the word Inc. on the end of your name, that many times, not with vendors, with projected partners who you may want to bring into the company, that perpetuates an aura of respect. It allows somebody to say, hey, this guy not only went through the trouble of developing a corporate structure, but he's someone who is dedicated to following the rules to maintain that structure, because that takes some effort. This person is interested in growing the business because a corporate structure allows for growth. This individual is somebody who wants this business to carry on for a long period of time. That draws people into your business. That makes people say, hey, this Inc. on the end of your company name, whether it's a C Corp or an S Corp, means dedication. It means respectability. And as funny as that may sound to some people, believe me when I tell you that Pepsi-Cola Incorporated or Coca-Cola Incorporated sounds a lot better than Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola. You know, had we not known those names for so long, we may think it's just a fly-by-night company that we better look up on the internet and see what kind of reviews they get. But do we look for, if we go out and we want to buy a soda, or we want to buy something that's made by a famous manufacturer that's been around, like Kraft or McDonald's, well, we don't typically look up reviews before we go buy that particular product, because that company has lasted a long time. These are giant corporations that have a reputation. And believe me, they at one time began as a small company.
Right. Well, you bring up a good point, because many of us as small business owners or entrepreneurs frequently interact with vendors to provide resources to our businesses, and a lot of times, that attachment of incorporation, or that Inc. behind the name, you're right, it does add some credibility, and we abide by laws, by standards of respect when we choose to incorporate our businesses, and inherently, that means that we made the decision to operate legally within the bounds of the law, and there's some inherent respectful expectations that people have when they look at or interact with you as a business owner. So that's a very important point.
We ought to do a show sometime on the psychological makeup or thinking of a business owner, or a real entrepreneur, somebody who separates themselves out from the pack. Well, here's what I mean by that. We've just talked a little bit about how important it is to, when you have the word Inc. on the end of your company name, it implies that you are willing to do certain things that other people aren't willing to do. And it also shows that you have already done things that certain people aren't willing to do. Even if it's some minor thing like paying $800 to the state every year to keep your company incorporated in an S Corp or an LLC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. Now, people who listen to the show may know I'm a watch collector, that I'm a watch freak. It's my hobby, and you know that certainly. So I'm online the other day, and I'm talking to several watch dealers, and I'm interested in making a purchase. After I have the conversation, I send a couple of them an email, and one of them responds to the email, and the other two don't like what I have to say. And I wasn't disrespectful in any way. I was just making an offer that they didn't care for. One guy, all three of them didn't like the offer. Okay? One of them responded with a very congenial note. The other two just didn't respond at all. Now, who would you buy a watch from on those three scenarios? The individual who took the time to respond, even though he didn't want to sell you that particular timepiece for that price. That's a professional. That's a mindset that commands respect because of how they interact with you professionally. And I think that can be used as an example to show what the word or the acronym Inc. means when it's attached to a business name.
Yep.
So these are the kinds of things that, mindsets project things, and mindsets draw in customers and clients. And if I think a real entrepreneur, a business owner who has some savvy, understands that, apart from the understanding that doing so will protect your personal assets. They understand the full gamut of everything. So in any event, short and sweet show today. I hope people got something out of this. And I hope people understand that the emphasis here was on the mindset of incorporating and how you can actually boost your business by choosing a corporate structure, not just solely because it protects your personal assets, but from a psychological standpoint, how it could instantaneously make your business better, more profitable.
That's right. It's all about perception and how the person interacting with you sees you. And
right, because we've talked a lot of times on many shows, Rick, about how important it is to emphasize for protection purposes. But this is more of a kind of a flavor of a psychological aspect to it that I hope some of our viewers and listeners can appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, we have a ton of resources on our website at bottlebusinesscentshow.com, where you can go back and look at previous episodes where we do talk about different types of entities, the benefits and strategies that are inherent to them. So feel free to take a look at the website. You can reach out to us if you have questions regarding this show or any previous shows. Send us an email at bottlebusinesscentshow@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on social media as well, on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. So I hope, as well as Bill, I hope everyone found this beneficial. If you have any questions in regards to the details, more details about this episode, please reach out to Bill. His information is below this video, and he'll happy to take your call or respond to you right away.
Absolutely. And until next time, folks, I wish you well. I wish you many profits in your everyday business, and we'll see you next time. I look forward to it.
All right, take care, everyone.